Hi guys. Wanted to make a video here and talk about Senator Jeff Merkley of of Oregon, not Portland, Oregon, but of all of Oregon. I think Oregon has about 3 million residents. Um, I have, I think I can talk about this. If I can, well, I guess I'll find out about it. I have a case coming up. In January. I have to go to court. I can't believe that they're wasting my time with this frivolous bullshit, but there's a person that works for Senator Merkley who filed charges against me, wanted got a protective order, I don't remember the specifics, like no stalking. And I've never had any physical contact with this person. In fact, I've only spoken with this person once on the phone, but that was before they were assigned work to do on behalf of the federal government. For me, that they were being paid to do work for me, and I had spoken briefly with this person on the phone about a year ago. They lied to me and told me that they knew someone who lost a leg in the Boston bombing, and the Boston bombing was fake. I had something happen similar a couple of weeks ago with Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban. I had sent him an email and notified him that no one was killed in the Pittsburgh synagogue on October 27th. That was fake. And then he replied back with a profanity-laced email and telling me to go crawl back under the fucking rock I came from. And after that, I saw that email. I contacted the Texas Rangers, law enforcement, the FBI, and the Dallas Police Department to report Mark, because he was going around telling people that he knew people who had been killed, which was a lie. So back to this person that works for Senator Merkley. I have to go to court. I can't believe I have to go to court. You know, I know from my friend Robert David Steele that courts are manipulated and judges are bought. They're paid off, or with money, or a lot of them are pedophiles. And so they pay them off with kids, and you manipulate the courts. And I can't understand why people here in Oregon that I've contacted can't pass the word along that this asshole that works for Senator Merkley is wasting my time and wasting the court's time and money with this frivolous complaint. And I've contacted a number of people. There was one woman, I think she's the president of the Oregon Bar Association. Her last name is Nordyke. And I've emailed her a couple of times. I think she's the deputy attorney general as well. I'm trying to think what her first name is, but I can't remember. Her last name is Nordyke. Her father's a lawyer too. I found some photos of her, or one photo of her with standing next to Senator Merkley. Senator Merkley's office is really messed up. I was told by the Portland office several months ago to cease all communication with them. They didn't want me contacting him anymore. That was the office that was assigned to do some casework of mine. and where the person works who filed the complaint against me with the temporary protective order, the stalking protective order. And so they didn't want me talking to them or communicating with them, emailing them, writing letters. And they told me to, I have a letter, but I didn't prepare it to show it to you. But it was a letter that I got from Senator Merkley's Washington, D.C. office. So I guess the Portland office was communicating with the Washington, D.C. office. And they told me to cease all communications with the Portland office and to only communicate with the Washington, D.C. office in writing. They wanted hard copy, no more emails, no more phone calls. And they wanted me to adjust my communications to the office manager. And there was no name. Well, I called up Senator Merkley's office after I got this letter, and I said, you guys mailed me this letter. You want me to communicate with the office manager? What's the office manager's name? And the man that had answered the phone said, we don't have anybody with that title. They don't have an office manager. It's just mental abuse. Mental abuse from the Washington, D.C. office of Senator Merkley, mental abuse from the Portland office of Senator Merkley, from his staff. It's just, it's crazy. The stress and worry it has caused me with having to deal with this court. I've already gone to court once. I went, I think it was on December 10th. And this person who has a complaint against me has an attorney, and I don't have an attorney. I tried to get an attorney through the Oregon State Bar. I don't have a lot of money because, like I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I live on Social Security disability. And the Oregon State Bar, they have a referral service, and I called, and they gave me an attorney to contact, and I contacted the attorney, and I went out to see him. It cost me $35 to talk to him. I think they're supposed to give you like half an hour, but he gave me an hour. And after talking to this guy, I won't mention his name, I talked to him for an hour, and I explained to him a lot of details. I brought a lot of information out, stuff about Senator Merkley and how they've been messing with my head, and I was getting threats from the people that work in the Portland office, and I had this, legal complaint, and then how the Washington, D.C. office sent me a letter and told me to only communicate with the office manager there, and that there was nobody with the title of office manager. And then this lawyer I was talking to, I gave him a bunch of details about how no one was killed in the Pittsburgh synagogue, and that I provided this information to federal appellate court judges, circuit court judges. I gave him information that I provided details about there not being a shooting in Pittsburgh to Second Circuit Court Judge Robert Katzman, who's the chief judge. I gave information to his clerk a couple months ago. And then I had also provided this information to 10th Circuit Court Judge in Ohio, Michael Newman, and then 9th Circuit Court Judge Sidney Thomas, which is in San Francisco. Or actually, I think he has an office in Billings, Montana. And I don't know if I was supposed to communicate with Sidney Thomas, Judge Thomas, or not. He's a chief judge as well. Michael Newman is a magistrate, but Robert Katzman is a chief judge, and then Sidney Thomas is a chief judge. And I have a docket number with Sidney Thomas. I don't know the rules. Nobody tells me, that I couldn't do this, so I communicated with Sidney Thomas because I thought it was important that he know this. Judge Thomas I have a docket number with the 9th Circuit in San Francisco. I have a complaint filed against Chief Judge Michael Mossman of Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon Chief Judge, Federal Judge, District Judge Michael Mossman put me in prison, federal prison for 30 days, and had me subjected to psychotropic drug injections for 3 years, which caused me to have a metabolic disorder, and I gained an enormous amount of weight. That's why my face is so fat. And I have this problem called venous stasis on the lower part of my leg, or below my knee. My legs are all swollen, and the skin is like chafing off, and it's like blistering, and then I have like these weeping wounds that sometimes open up and they scab over. And that's all due because of this metabolic disorder I have from being injected with the drugs that Judge Michael Mossman told me I needed to have. And if I was subjected to these injections under duress, I mean, if I didn't take them, I was going to be put back into prison. And I had this probation officer named Matthew Pruitt, who's a federal probation officer in Portland, Oregon, and I had given him a lot of information over the years that I had to see him. He would often have me come in to do what's called UAs, urine analysis. You may have you go and pee in a cup, and he actually goes into the bathroom with you, watches you urinate into a cup, and then they go out, and then he goes out and tests it to see if you're on any drugs. Well, I don't use any drugs, and but all the time that I saw Matt, I told him, no one was killed in Newtown, Connecticut, and no one was killed in, that was the Sandy Hook thing. And then that President Obama had been out to Newtown and was photographed, and that what was he doing there? So I gave this information over a period of 3 years to Matt, and he never did anything with it. I was talking about my attorney that I got the referral from the Oregon State Bar. So this guy said he didn't believe anything I was telling him, even though I told him, look, to verify what I told you, because I had told him that no one was killed at the synagogue, and that he should contact Chief Judge Robert Katzman's office in New York to verify what I'm saying, or Judge Sidney Thomas, or Judge Michael Newman, or any of the Supreme Court justices, because I wrote an individual letter. I don't have a computer printer. I didn't have access to the library, and actually I was up late one night, and I needed to kill some time, so I wrote an individual letter to each one of the Supreme Court justices and told them, it was the same letter to each one of them. I just copied it over and over, like 9 times. I think it was 9 times. It was 8, and then the chief, Roberts. I think that's right. Yeah, and I notified them that no one was killed at the Pittsburgh synagogue. And so I told this lawyer, look, all you got to do is contact any of these people. And he said, you're mentally ill. I have family members that are mentally ill. You need to be put on medication. I'm sorry, I can't take your case. And I left. And then like about 10 days later, I got angry. And I thought, I want my $35 back. I know it sounds kind of ridiculous, $35, but I mean, it is $35. I mean, he doesn't deserve it. I complained to the Oregon State Bar, and they told me there's nothing they can do about it. They're not getting, they don't want to get involved in it or whatever. I can't remember exactly what they said, but they said they weren't going to get me my $35 back. So, I replied back to the email I got from the Oregon State Bar, and I said, look, you're saying this lawyer has a right to keep my money even though I provided detailed information that no one was killed at the synagogue, and that President Trump is being blackmailed because President Trump knows nobody was killed, but he won't admit it publicly. And I gave these details to federal judges and Supreme Court justices, and this lawyer, all he has to do is contact them to verify my information. He won't do it. He says that I'm mentally ill, and he gets to keep my money. And then I wrote an email to that Nordyke woman, who's the president of the Oregon State Bar, and I believe she's the Assistant Attorney General of Oregon. And no reply back from them, or her rather, or the Oregon State Bar. And I have to deal with. I called Oregon State Bar a second time to see if I could get an attorney, because I had this situation I have to deal with the court. If I don't show up in court, they're going to send the sheriff deputies out to my apartment. And the last time they sent the sheriff deputy out here, they served me the papers for the complaint that this person who works for Senator Merkley had filed. And I called the sheriff's office, and I told them that there was this horrible smell in the hallway. And I asked them, in the future, could you just, if you ever get any court documents, could you just mail them to me? Because I don't know what that deputy was doing, but the hallway smelled horrible. And it lasted for like a long time. And I would prefer it if, in the future, they could just mail me whatever they have, because I've noticed this since I was a young boy, that law enforcement, they smell. Their bodies stink. And I know, Bob Dean used to talk about this too. I don't know if he said specifically with law enforcement, but that he remember him saying that people were violent, and they were stupid, and they smell. And I've noticed this since I was 15, because when I was 15, I had some friends that were a year or two older than me, and they had driver's licenses, and they would come pick me up and we'd go out, and then so that was about the age. That was the age when I started getting handcuffed, and I didn't do anything bad. I wasn't a troublemaker. I was just hanging out with friends. Although, there was one time, out in front of a 7-Eleven, I was drinking a beer. I had one beer, and I was only sipping on it, and then this cop car pulls up, and I put the beer down under the car to hide it, and the cop came right towards me, and handcuffed me and put me in the back of the car. And, to show him that to demonstrate I wasn't intoxicated, or by memory I had recited this number, I don't know, it was a pretty big long number, 20 digits or something. And I asked him, I said, what does that mean? Because I had read it off of the screen that he had in his car. And he could tell I wasn't drunk, but he still brought me down to the station. I've never spent any time in jail until I got to Portland, Oregon in my life. I've never been in jail. And then when I got to Portland, Oregon, I got arrested in 2013 because the New Haven FBI office requested the Portland police to arrest me because they claimed that I was mentally ill, because the people in Newtown, Connecticut were complaining about me calling there. And the people in Newtown, Connecticut are lying, because there was no shooting there at the Sandy Hook School. That school had been closed since 2008. And I've been saying this for a long time. And nobody listens. So, Merkley, I gave him details about this and his office. That's why they don't want me contacting them anymore, because they're freaked out because I have this information, and I don't know. I wish I didn't have to go to court on the 15th. It's a waste of time and money and taxpayer money, and I'm almost at 20 minutes here. This is going to take a long time. My phone takes a long time to upload. It'll probably take about an hour to upload this video. I'm going to stop talking. But just Merkley's office is horrible. I read that that Senator Merkley was going to run for president. That's not going to happen. You're not getting elected president, Jeff. No way. There's no way. Your office in Washington, D.C. is a mess. You don't even have an office manager. And you're sending out letters telling me to contact the office manager? And then I had a situation with Portland, Oregon police, 2 officers, and then there was a U.S. Marshal who came out too on October 30th. And they said they wanted to do a welfare check, and then I got pressured into, intimidated into allowing them to search my apartment. But they came out because the staff at Senator Merkley's Portland office complained about me. And I thought, why are you defending these people? Why doesn't anybody listen to anything I say? I mean, I keep giving you guys information about this, all these things, and you just ignore it. And then you come out and pester the crap out of me with these morons that work at Merkley's office, wasting my time. And then this guy, there was an Officer Combs, and then there was an Officer Hansen. And there was Officer Combs who asked me like 3 or 4 times. He kept saying, you know, I really just want to search your apartment. I just want to search your apartment and make sure you don't have an arsenal. He kept over and over and over. And I could tell he was like getting stressed out because his eyes were bulging out of his head and his respiration was increasing. His blood pressure was going up. I thought, oh, he's going to assault me. And I have a complaint filed with the Independent Police Review, I think it is. They're under the auditor, the city auditor. Anyways, they told me that there's nothing that they can do because I gave the officer permission to search my apartment. And I was like, well, I thought he was going to either arrest me or assault me. That's why I complained. I mean, that's why I let him into my apartment. I wouldn't have let him in otherwise. Plus, he was with this other officer who was armed. And, I mean, seriously, where the fuck is your empathy? There is none. These people are fucking garbage. So irritating. Yeah, and I complained to the Senate Ethics Committee Chairman Johnny Isaacson, and I complained a lot to his office, and I even I gave him a lot of details about the staff, because I had contacted the Senate Ethics Committee Chairman's office before I gave them, detailed writings, and the staff, the woman that answered the phone told me, she says, not only can you complain about the senator, but you can complain about the senator's staff. I thought, oh, great, well, I got like 2 people that work with Senator Merkley that I can complain about, plus Senator Merkley himself, because all this mental abuse from being told to contact his office manager in Washington, D.C., and there is no office manager. Anyways, I think that's all I have to say. I hope something happens to where I don't have to go to court in January, on the 15th. Actually, it's 15th. I don't trust these judges in Portland at all. I was treated very unfairly when I was arrested in 2013, and I spent 2 months in jail because this has all happened because the New Haven FBI office had called Portland police, requested my arrest, and then I was abused and tortured in Multnomah jail when I was there for 2 months. There was 3 deputies. There's more deputies but in one particular occasion, there was a deputy, Rodney Schaefer, who is the only deputy that I've noticed that carries a loaded pistol, a loaded gun, All the other deputies that work in the jail carry tasers, but this guy carries a loaded gun. And then there was a Lieutenant Penna, and then there was a third deputy who I don't remember his name, but if they were to line him up, they had like a police lineup, I could point him out. I'd know what he looks like. And when I complained to the county chair, it was a woman named Deborah Kafori, and Deborah's husband, Nick Blosser, is the chief of staff for Governor Kate Brown. But Deborah, her office, the county chair's office, oversees the sheriff's department, which is run by a man named Mike Reese. And Mike Reese was the police chief when I was arrested back in 2013, unfairly charged with, calling the people in Newtown. And then the police detective, Tony Harris, threatened to break all the windows in my house. So Mike Reese was the police chief at that time, and now he's the sheriff deputy. Or the sheriff, he's the sheriff, he's the chief. And Deborah Kafori, I contacted her office. I feel really stupid. Over 5 years, I contacted her office and asked for help to file a complaint against the deputies in the jail, Schaefer and Penna, and the other guy who tortured me. And Deborah's office, Deborah Kafori, never replied. I ended up having to contact one of the, I'm not sure what they're called, like commissioner or another person, a woman that was in the district. So I live in District 1, and there's 4 districts. So actually, I contacted all 4. It's all women. They're all women. The county chair is a woman, Deborah, and then the 4 districts are women. But I had District 1 and District 4 reply back to me, giving me information on how I could file a complaint. I already filed a complaint years ago with the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, but they didn't do anything. They didn't care. They didn't do anything with the complaint I filed. But Deborah Kafori is lazy as hell. I don't know what the hell she's doing in her position. I mean, she should be kicked out of office because, I gave her so much information about how I was abused in the jail, and she totally ignored me. No response at all. Get the fuck out of office, man or lady. You're worthless. What a horrible human being. There's so many people here that are just so messed up. I wish the federal government would come in here and do something. I'm almost at half an hour. I started complaining about Senator Merkley, and just mentioned a bunch of other people. Anyways, that's my rant for today. Bye.